This is Chris Kell with the next question in our Abs Revealed Daily series. How do I use my abs effectively? And this question has come about from people that do a lot of crunches or leg lifts or whatever it may be, but they feel it in places other than their abs. So they're getting it, burned in their hip flexors, or, they're feeling it in their neck or whatever. And for the majority of people that I see doing these exercises, they're done with muscles other than their, the abs, the muscle that we're trying to work. So what we want to think about doing is, how do we turn on these muscles most effectively to make sure that they're doing the right. So if we look at these two examples of two common exercises that we see in the gym, a plank and a leg lift, all right? If you look at the plank here, I'm butchering that. My back is rounded, my upper back is rounded, my lower back is arched, and there's really no engagement of my core whatsoever. So gravity is pulling me towards the ground. Whereas with the leg lift, we see that she's lifting her legs up and down because she's got this big arch in her back. So there's no engagement really of her abs, and so her lower back, and her hip flexors are going to be doing the job. And what we want to do is think about tightening our abs like we're being punched in the gut to get my back flat in this plank position and to get that back against the floor so we can be successful with our core training exercise. One thing that we see very often with our female clients who have had children or had C-sections or had trauma to this area is that they lose conscious control of their abs. So when they do things like a leg lift or a plank or any kind of abdominal exercise, the muscles that are supposed to activate our abs are not necessarily doing so. The solution to this is to perform what is called abdominal bracing, okay? And all abdominal bracing means is simply just tightening my abs to resist being punched in the gut, okay? And I want you to think about doing that anytime that we're going to perform an abdominal exercise. So anytime that you are going to do your crunch or your leg lift, you want to think about tightening these muscles in order to make sure that they're active and performing and doing their job as we're performing this exercise. The other thing that we want to think about is breathing, because believe it or not, as we breathe out, as we take a deep breath in and we're breathing out, our abs are going to be more fully engaged. And what tends to happen with a lot of abdominal exercises is when people are performing them, they hold their breath, okay? And that's not necessarily the best position to be in, because again, that's inhibiting our abs. So what I want you to think, and what we're going to teach you in this presentation, is a breathing technique that is really going to help you to improve your result. So when we look at the control of the diaphragm, the muscle that's located in the center of our body, the diaphragm moves up and down as we take deep breaths. And the goal for proper breathing for core training is to take a deep breath in through the belly and then blow out powerfully as if I'm blowing up a balloon. Okay, that's going to allow me to fully engage my abs. And what I would encourage everybody to do, just as a simple test, is put your hands on your stomach. I want you to think about taking a deep breath in through your nose and try to expand your belly out into your hands. Okay, then I want you to purse your lips and blow out as if you're blowing out a balloon. The blowing out should take significantly longer. So if it takes you 2 to 3 seconds to inhale, I want you to think about exhaling for about 4 to 5 seconds while you're blowing through pursed lips. What you'll find is that your abs are going to tighten, your abs are going to more fully engage, and that's, again, going to immediately flatten our stomach. An exercise that I like a lot to illustrate this concept is blowing up a balloon, okay? So this is a technique that we call power breathing, because when we take a deep breath in, we have to have a very powerful exhale or blow out to get a balloon to inflate. Okay, and as I inflate that balloon, I'm using my abs to do that job, to exhale and really blow up and power this thing. I mean, you could even do that through your nose, like this guy over here, if really necessary. But that's the kind of thing that I want you to think about doing anytime that you're performing core training exercises. So ultimately, the goal is to get tightness in your abs, but you don't want to be so tight that you can't take a deep breath in. And if I had to give you kind of a guideline, I would say when you're doing these exercises, engage your abs first, make sure you've got maybe about a 50% contraction, but take a deep breath to make sure that you can do that. And as you're performing your exercises, move slowly and take deep breaths in, and then a slow blow out while pursing your abs or pursing your lips and blowing slowly. This idea of power breathing is going to really give you the best results possible in terms of getting the bang for your buck for abdominal. So what I like to do before I start to perform core training exercise with my clients is we'll practice this. Deep breathing is definitely something that is good to help you to sleep. It's a great stress reliever, and a great way to practice is to simply put your feet up on a chair, put your hands on your belly, take a deep breath in, and to expand into your hands. Once again, take a deep breath in through your nose, kind of get a Buddha belly where you're expanding both up but also out, so you're trying to get as fat as possible, and then you blow out through pursed lips. Tighten your abs, pressure back into the floor, and feel how much that's going to tighten things up. I would recommend doing that for about 1 to 2 minutes, and then proceed to just some simple core exercises. Once I learn how to breathe and brace effectively just lying on my back, I would move to a position like a plank where now, okay, my abs are under tension, but I'm still able to breathe and brace. So again, we're looking at about maybe a 50% tightness of your abs. You're bracing, and you're taking deep breaths in through the nose and blowing out through pursed lips. What I love about the plank position is that we're static. We're just holding in this spot, and this allows us to kind of learn to use that abdominal brace and build tension on our abs before we start to incorporate things like crunches. You can also, the evil twin of this exercise would be the Deadbug position. Okay, and again, this is simply where I'm lying on my back, I'm pressing my back into the ground, I'm taking deep breaths in through my nose, and I'm breathing out through my mouth. And in this picture, when I was taking this picture, I was actually doing that. I was in that position, I was blowing out, and then immediately that's going to tighten my abs, flatten my stomach, and that's something that I'm using to try to fully engage my abs so I can get some good definition for this picture. Okay, so that's the key, is just to think about practicing this breathing technique first, and then tuning your abs in these static positions before we start to move to these more involved exercises like crunches, leg lifts that involve movement.